As you grow older, time seems to become ever fleeting, each day passing faster and faster. Precious moments lost to typing away on computers and filing paperwork. Trapped in a gridlock of metal cages on wheels for hours on end, for what should be a mere 15-minute drive. Or hours lost to slumber and exhaustion. And even if you found a way to reduce that necessity for sleep, it may still feel like it's not enough. Or perhaps, above all, and most simply, fate has said your end is near. Don't you wish you could give anything to have more time? More time to spend with those you love, to experience the facets of life, to go places you could only dream of visiting? So, what are you willing to give, to risk? If you truly wish for more time, or perhaps are insane enough to chase any form of gamble, then there is a way. You see, time watches over us all, binds us to existence only temporarily, until it decides to take away that right and offer your soul to oblivion, their lady of love. But, as much as time seems to be an orderly creature, one of rigid, unmalleable pace, they have a penchant for chaos. It's why they seek to impress oblivion, after all, slowly marching us all to our inevitable doom, into her awaiting arms. And one little-known habit that time picked up from their mistress is their love for gambling. Since we worship time in every single moment of our lives, with their altars existing in every single person's home or place of work across the globe, they do deign to gaze upon us every so often, and have taken a liking to a particular game of chance, long lost to humanity, ticking away only second by second for all of eternity. They enjoy mixing things up here and now, then and soon. Sadly, time doesn't get many partners to play with, but today, I'll instruct you on how to initiate a game with time. An advisory: if you intend on performing this rite, it's extremely important that you're familiar with the entirety of the steps ahead of time. Your game partner has no patience for those who waste their gift. You'll require the following: a normal deck of 52 playing cards, a candle, a method of lighting the candle, a black marker, and a table with 2 chairs. Please ensure there are only 2 chairs. You do not want unwelcome players arriving to join the game. Start by blocking all sources of light and prying eyes from the room you intend to do this in. If performed during the daytime, do your absolute best in making the room pitch black. Draw the curtains, lock all doors, and turn off the lights. You may light the candle prior to this, but once you begin, the candle is the only source of light allowed. No electronics must be on your person, and you must remove all devices capable of displaying time from the room before beginning. They're altars, after all, and every gaze at them you've given over the years was another offering. Too many offerings in one place, and, well, you'll learn about what they're capable of soon. Once the altars have been removed, and all sources of light or interruption have been denied, take a seat at the table. In the murky, flickering candlelight, take the black marker and draw the invocation symbol on your non-dominant hand. A simplistic hourglass made of 2 triangles with a line through the middle, parallel to the bases of each triangle. Open the deck box and place the deck in the middle of the table, if you haven't done so already. Now, you may call upon the entity. Declare aloud, "I feel the call of the Queen's Hunt. Do you?" There may be no response for some time. You must sit there in the dark and wait to see. If you have second thoughts about this, aren't feeling lucky anymore, or want to end the ritual for any reason prior to time's arrival, simply blow out the candle and turn on the lights. Do not attempt to stand or leave the table. This room no longer belongs to you, only the candle. After some matter of minutes, perhaps seconds if they're available, you may hear a ticking. A slow, deep click of gears, sounding off at the same pace, over and over again, approaching from the opposite end of the table. Then, a thud, the sound of a leather boot hitting the floor, then dragging along its surface as though its leg were injured. Once they reach the table, fight the urge to show any visible reactions to its appearance. Remain calm as the gears across their body churn, squishing the multitude of muscle strands and blood vessels that glue their shoddy frame together beneath that leather duster. You may also begin to feel strange. Your perception of time will be in flux, speeding up and slowing down ever so minutely for varying intervals, but just enough that moving your hand will be noticeably different. Do not blame them. All major entities have auras such as this. But, unlike the Sandman, who forces his will upon you in an attempt to bring slumber, time is indifferent. All beings are constantly moving with time's flow. So why should it pay any more attention to the fish by the shore when there's an ocean of life before it? Granted, you were nipping at their toes by inviting them here. Time will not waste themselves. Their only interest is in the game, so any attempt at questioning or conversation will be flatly ignored. However, once they've taken a seat across from you, the gears will stop momentarily, only to click hard and loud, clinking together and crushing flesh to produce sounds. Words, language. They'll ask you a simple question from that gnashing tongue. Day or night? This is where I must explain the rules. It's a fairly simple game, but be sure to familiarize yourself with the rules. Time will not tolerate someone reading off a cheat sheet. Time will always take the deal, giving themselves and you a hand of 4 cards each. Then, one card from the top of the deck is placed face down between the players and the deck nearby. The goal of the game is to claim the 2 queens that match the colour you chose at the beginning of the game. Red for day, or black for night. The question you're asked at the start of play is the colour you would like to hunt for. When a turn starts, the opening hand dealer or the winner of the last turn goes first. You're betting the values of your card against your opponent's, and the winner of each bet claims the card in the middle of the table. Aces are worth 1, jacks are 11, and kings are 12. Queens have no value and can't be played. They must be kept in your hand should you collect one. You may bet any number of cards on your turn, provided you don't exceed a sum of 12. Going over 12 is forbidden, so count correctly. If you play first, you can't adjust your sum after your opponent plays either. If you bet higher than your opponent, you win the turn and claim the face-down card in the middle of the table for yourself. All played cards that turn go to a discard pile next to the deck. Then, each player draws one card from the top of the deck if they have less than 4 cards in hand. If you already have 4 cards, do not draw. Play continues until a win condition is met or the deck runs out of cards, at which point both hands are revealed. As stated before, this is an extremely easy game to play, but is highly reliant on chance. You have no idea what you're betting on, only praying that the face-down card is one of the queens, or a number with a high value to use later on. And betting with multiple cards is risky too. If you play 2 or more cards, if you don't win, you'll be left with 1 less card until you decide to pass for a turn, and possibly miss out on a queen. Do not let that pang of realization overwhelm you. Just because time exists at all points, this is the one activity, the singular moment in history, that they choose not to gaze upon. They value truth and honesty in this game of risk, and won't look ahead or along any other paths to determine your cards. It's by their will alone that you're allowed to even have a chance in this game. Be grateful. If during the game you wish to end it early, fearful of what the end result may be, you may blow out the candle. Doing so will make the disgruntled being pause, place their cards on the table, and walk away into the darkness. Once the sound of grinding gears has completely disappeared, you may get up and turn on the lights. Under no circumstances should you ever try this ritual again if you do this. Of course, that's provided that you can even blow it out. As mentioned before, time's influence is even more distorted the closer to the entity you are. And sitting across a table from them, you're most certainly going to experience some fluctuations. 1 minute, you're at your current age, and the next, your card hand may be shaking uncontrollably. You'll drop the cards on the table, fingers too weak to hold even 4 flimsy pieces of cardboard. The candle will illuminate the vast wrinkles across your skin, and your whole body will ache and droop. Your mind will wander, forgetting why you were even here. You might get up to go and get a glass of water and try to leave the table. You may find yourself lost, hobbling around in the dark for the remaining minutes of your life, lost to eternity. Or you may end up the other way. As your maturity decreases, your interest in the game will wane. You won't understand the rules, simple as they are, because you're simply incapable of comprehending them yet. Tiny fingers make bad plays, putting all of the wrong cards out and losing round after consecutive round to time. Only when the tide shifts and you return to your true age will you realize what's happened, and the dread will truly sink in as the deck gets lower and lower, and you find yourself 1 queen short, or more. And with the more altars you left around in the room prior to playing, the effect of these fluctuations will only grow worse. The last subject to discuss is the series of game-ending states. These are the various ways you may win or lose the game. and the resulting events that will unfold. Should you find both of your own queens, you may reveal your hand immediately and state the appropriate victory phrase according to your chosen colour. Dawn breaks if you're playing day, or night falls for playing night. Time will verify the win before lowering their head and responding thusly. So it seems. The entity will then stand and leave. Just as before, wait until you hear no more sounds before leaving the table yourself. Your reward for winning in this manner will depend on the sum of the two non-queen cards in your hand. That amount of hours will become the amount of extra hours per day you'll be permitted to experience. They can be split up however you wish and used concurrently alongside your normal time. If you were bored at work, for example, you can simply desire to use your extra time. Go for a 3-hour walk, then return and keep working as though you never left. No one will notice your absence because there was none, and the world doesn't freeze either. You're simply permitted to experience two places in space at the same time, for a given amount of time every day. Still, this should be more than fulfilling for your needs. A note: this ability will not be accessible during any other rituals you may perform. Alternatively, if time should find both of their queens, they will make the same declaration, and you must respond in kind with, "So it seems." This is one of the punishments you may encounter for losing the game. The sum of time's value cards will be taken away from your daily allotment in hours. Your days won't become shorter, per se. You'll lose complete moments from anywhere in your history that time pleases. Maybe sometimes a few hours of work will fly by and you won't even notice. That's good. But it won't always be that way. A fight with the spouse that's starting to heat up, and suddenly you find yourself in an empty apartment with no memory of what happened. Perhaps you'll be driving home from work and time plucks a mere 10 minutes away. Your consciousness will pick back up as you cry out from your broken bones and the fire lapping at your face. Stealing away your daughter's wedding, or that concert you've been waiting to go to for months. Whenever time decides to, you'll lose those. In some cases, you'll be no better off than a late-stage dementia patient. I recall meeting a poor soul who'd lost this way to a king and a jack. It took 2 weeks for him to dictate his whole story. Should both players finish with a queen of each colour, or obtain both queens of their opponent's colour, it's a tie. Nothing lost, nothing gained. When this occurs, time will ask the question again, offering you a new game. You can accept this offer if you so wish, but for most, the strain of one game alone is enough. To decline the request, politely tell them you've had enough for now, and shuffle the deck back together into one whole before blowing out the candle. Again, wait before leaving the table. Now, for the more extreme end results. Should you finish the game with 3 queens, both of yours and one of the entities, you'll receive the sum value of your last non-queen card in years. They could be spent as a pool, as opposed to a daily allotment. If you want to, you can even hold on to them and save them to extend your life. Naturally, should this be time's result, You'll lose those whole years, wherever it seems necessary. I spoke with one woman who missed out on her son's early years, from birth at the hospital to the middle of his first year of grade 2. Or maybe time will gift you to his beloved early and just neatly lop off those years from the end of your life. One moment, you'll be on a second date with someone you're feeling real good about, and the next, you're not. You're not anything. You become nothing. If the queens are the inverse, however, having only one of your own queens, but both of your opponents, this is also a tie state. And then there's the jackpot, the full hand. If by some complete miracle of fate, you're able to collect all 4 queens, simply show your hand and declare, "I am the night and the day." Accounts of what the reward actually is are very few and far between, as this is an incredibly rare circumstance. That being said, I did meet one man who claimed to have done just that. He stated that upon making the declaration of having 4 queens, all of time's gears came to a jolting stop. At first, the man had feared that he'd angered the entity, but instead, the gears began to turn again after a moment. The being stood slowly, metal creaking and flesh snapping apart, before rummaging around inside their jacket for something. After a moment, they held a pocket watch in their hand, with fingers made from hands of a clock. They screwed off the rusty back and then reached deeper into themselves. To the man's horror, he heard a loud chunk as time itself ripped a gear from their own innards and placed it inside the little pocket watch. They then placed the watch upon the table and disappeared into the dark. When the man concluded the ritual, the pocket watch remained. According to him, time had given him his own altar. He showed me the pocket watch, and while it was incredibly ornate and beautiful to behold, I chose to avert my gaze. Doubtless, he'd already got many to give him offerings in the past, and I was concerned about what he was already capable of. I didn't need to be giving him any more power than he may have already had. But finally, there's the matter of losing to all 4 queens. Or if he should try to cheat time, or attempt the ritual again after blowing out the candle mid-game. For losing so completely, or for being a terrible sport, time will finally put their gaze upon you. They'll focus on that lone fish for once, nipping at their toes, and grant it the ultimate punishment. No, you will not be erased from history. You will become one with it. Every particle of your very being will be meticulously placed upon every single horrible moment in time. The burning of the dinosaurs, gas deaths in the war trenches, torture in the basements of the most cruel and deplorable individuals known to man, and all the parts of you will be forced to experience every one of those moments, all of the time, for the rest of time, suffering in truly eternal agony. No rest, no escape, only eternity and suffering across it. Maybe then you'll finally understand a fraction of what time witnesses and why they find oblivion so attractive. Of course, this is only the worst outcome of all. And you'd either have to be incredibly unlucky, or the kind of person that deserves it, to be punished like that. And should you survive your ordeal, you're free to invite Ty over and over again for more games, to test your luck and gain more history, more memories. So, are you feeling lucky?